has not seen him coming at her.
She was asleep at the wheel.
Alright, look, Sony, I'm picking up what you're putting down. This is cool, but hear me out. What if we took this, and instead of making it like this, we made it a little more like...
And it ends with
Why is there a gun on my car?
Oh, hey Josh. So, the reason there's a gun on your car is because the Twisted Metal competition's in town.
Robert, that's a gun on my car. What am I gonna possibly use that for?
So, here's the thing, right? Imagine if somebody's coming at you from this side. If you walk in front of this, you're getting blasted, dude. Now, let me show you something. If you're coming from the other side, check this out. So look, if you're coming from this side, what's gonna happen? There's no gun. You're not safe. Anybody, and I mean potentially anybody, even me, could just come up, grab a hammer, and just absolutely fuck your shit.
My car!
No, that's fine. We'll put a gun there.
A gun isn't gonna fix my mirror, Robert!
So stupid.
I think everybody gets to a point in their life where they realize that they're getting old. My point was probably when I was playing a PSP a while back, and my girlfriend's cousin that played Fortnite on a regular basis didn't know what it was. Little did he know that this little battle royale genre that he was familiar with and probably thought was a new thing wasn't actually new at all, and this PSP that he wasn't familiar with was actually home to one of the greatest car combat battle royale games around. Twisted Metal. This video isn't about the PSP version of Twisted Metal, but I'll take any opportunity that I can to bring it up. This intro music kind of slaps. Twisted Metal's timeline has had a long and interesting development history that's changed a lot, but one thing that's been fairly consistent was the lead director David Jaffe's overall involvement in the franchise. Seriously, this guy is like the father of the series, and if it wasn't for his involvement up to this point, we may have never even seen the game in this capacity.
I love to see the people so happy, so excited. Because when they die violently, they're so surprised. Am I right? No one expects to die on
Hey, hold
Christmas.
on, this shit ain't funny. It ain't funny, but it is.
I feel like it's an interesting thing to mention because I feel like nowadays that's not something you see. You don't typically see a director involved with a franchise for this long. I mean, we're talking about a 17-year on and off involvement with the franchise, man. That's no small feat. The series was born in 1995, the same year as me, in fact, so it's no surprise that as a hardcore PlayStation user back in the day, Twisted Metal made a strong impression on me. If you find any refrigerator drawings that I did, you most likely, almost probably, most definitely will find a sweet tooth there. Oh, that pink and white polka dot ice cream truck.
Rated T for teen. PlayStation.
Fun fact, I spent countless hours watching the trailer of the Twisted Metal Small Brawl release on a demo disc that I had, and I was so obsessed with it that I took the demo disc and drew on it with a Sharpie, something along the lines of Twisted Metal Small Brawl full game. I remember begging and pleading with my parents to get me it, and man, yes, the payoff was definitely worth it. Maybe we'll cover Small Brawl later on. That would be fun. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that the Twisted Metal series had a big impact on me, and I'm sure it did for a lot of you as well. However, when its last installment came around in 2012, rebranded as just Twisted Metal, the reboot, I honestly forgot about it pretty quickly. And if you also forgot about this release of Twisted Metal, your opinion probably wasn't an unpopular one.
And this time, I'm going to finish what I started.
This is where I was gonna splice in a clip of Metal Jesus Rocks talking about it in a recent pickup video that he did, but I can't really seem to find the fucking clip anywhere. If you know where it is, please timestamp it. I remember him saying something along the lines of it not having the soul that the original ones had, and I feel like that's an important part that we're definitely gonna discuss in a little bit.
If they kill you, next year, one of them gets to enter my contest. So as you can imagine, they're motivated.
Long efforts were made to create a successful advertising campaign around the Twisted Metal reboot. However, when it actually came to the release of the Twisted Metal reboot, it seems that popularity stagnated, and it's actually not too hard to guess why. David Jaffe is on record saying that the Twisted Metal reboot did fine. Not terrible, not great. We're talking about a series that enjoyed a long success on the original PlayStation and even carried that cult following into the PSP and PS2 era. So, what happened?
Can't hide from me, little girl. You can't hide from Daddy.
Well, for starters, you may be surprised to know that the Twisted Metal 2012 reboot wasn't even planned to be a full Twisted Metal experience in the first place. It was slated to be a slightly cheaper multiplayer-only PSN release until Sony themselves reached out to the studio East Fleet Play, founded by David Jaffe, creating the reboot, pleading that they consider creating Twisted Metal as a full release with a single-player campaign. Wikipedia quotes them saying something along the lines of, "Yeah, you guys really don't realize how many fans love the Twisted Metal universe. You gotta give us the stories."
Your wish is granted.
And you know what? Whoever at Sony was in charge of making that call was goddamn right. Could you imagine a publisher coming to a studio today and saying, yeah, that money-making multiplayer experience that you're putting out, yeah, that's not going to be good enough. You need to put a single-player one at all. Yeah, I'd love to see that happen today. A big part of Twisted Metal is the lore surrounding its single-player campaign. In your typical Twisted Metal title, each character in the game takes part in a battle royale-style competition to be the last car standing. The winner of this competition is granted a single wish of whatever they choose by the mastermind of the competition, Calypso. Unless we're talking about the fourth game where Calypso got his shit rocked by Sweet Tooth.
Calypso's time as the carnival's master of ceremonies came to an end. My master was ready to take his rightful place, seated at the throne of the Twisted Metal Empire!
A big driving force of the series was winning the competition with your character to have your wish granted, seeing whatever twisted outcome the sinister Calypso had in store. And this next-gen entry almost didn't contain this at all.
In fact, it's the kind of place Daddy would have taken you as a kid. When he was still breathing, I mean.
Hey, what's up everybody? T from ACG here. We like to rate games on a buy, sell, rent basis. Yeah, this game's like 9 years old. Just go buy it, dude. It's like $5 in a pack of bubble gum. Oh, what am I doing with my life? If it wasn't for the change in development to add a single-player story, we probably wouldn't even be taking a look at this game at all because the multiplayer servers have long since been shut down. The game wasn't a blockbuster hit, but with the new online capabilities of the PlayStation 3, it was no surprise that they wanted to still take advantage of the online multiplayer. However, there was one more strike against them in that regard: the online passes. Yeah, this game came out at that weird time where every game publisher was trying to prevent as many used game sales as possible by requiring online passes to be purchased. This would block you from being able to play the game online every time a used game was played on a new account until you actually made that purchase. Unless the game was digital, of course. It doesn't take a genius to realize that with an already niche title like this, with mediocre or just fine sales, this did nothing but hurt that online experience more, in terms of the player base anyways. Which is a damn shame because there's a pretty good game here. That classic Twisted Metal gameplay returns to form in this reboot, along with some quality of life improvements and new features. Your basic power attacks like freezing other vehicles and using a shield are now simple D-pad button presses. You still unlock more technical abilities like dropping mines as you play though. Also, jumping is just with both of the shoulder buttons, and that doesn't seem to take any energy, which thank you, that's pretty cool. It's kind of like a pretty required feature in a game like this. Progression otherwise is pretty good as well. In classic Twisted Metal fashion, as you play you unlock new cars and abilities to play with, one of those being new replacements for your machine guns like a pistol, shotgun, or even rockets. Although I will say that they all have a recharge time and none of them seem to really beat the classic machine guns for me. Cars handle drastically different from each other. Big vehicles handle like heavy tanks with more health and ramming power. Smaller sports cars accelerate like a bat out of hell while also being able to turn on a dime to fit the arena style gameplay, but are also very weak in terms of health.
You have lost the battle.
All of your favorite weapons return here. Yeah, the homing missile is still overpowered as ever, your fire missiles are probably going to be your second go-to, and you have a nice mix of power weapons at your disposal. A good bit of these weapons also have a charge mechanic, which gives you the ability to build power at the cost of waiting to fire.
Destroyed.
Most notably, it seems that almost, if not all of the special weapons for vehicles have an alternate fire mode as well. This gives you 2 attack variations at your disposal. These could be something like being able to remote control an automated attack, or just be a different attack entirely. Sweet Tooth shoots these homing explosives, but he can also turn into a fucking mech. Yeah, I guess that was pretty sick. Or for another example, the helicopter special ability is a minigun, but the alternate is a magnet that allows you to pick up and drop enemies. Yeah, I said helicopter. There's a fucking helicopter in this car combat game, and it's surprisingly really fun to use, and I love it. It was great. This is the last place I'd expect to be using a vehicle like this, but it works a lot better than you'd think, and that's due in no small part to the overall level design.
I designed this arena to bring about the greatest loss of life in the shortest amount of time. It's like a slaughterhouse, but for people.
The levels in Twisted Metal 2012 are massive, dude. So big, in fact, that in certain missions or when setting up a private match, you can choose to disable other sections of the map to focus on one part. While we're on the subject of the maps, I just want to mention that the art direction in this game is really phenomenal, really top-notch stuff from all of the people working on it. Everything from the animations of the vehicles down to the loading screens really put me inside of that world, and everyone did a great job on it. When you're inside of that theme park, everything from advertisements on the billboard to the direction of the level and all of the textures and different assets really make you feel like you're a part of it. I know I'm going to understate a lot of stuff in this video, but that's something I had to mention because I feel like it's really important that games get this kind of stuff right. To complement these huge levels are some new gameplay changes that are introduced in the campaign that we'll discuss a little bit later. These maps are also brimming with detail from building to building. This is something that I didn't really remember being very good at all, but in retrospect, going back into it, I was pleasantly blown away by just what they achieved here. The levels have a lot of verticality, giving you multiple story buildings that you can scale, or just fly around if you're using the helicopter. I was genuinely impressed, and I feel like this could have been a really fun multiplayer playground. But as previously stated, the multiplayer is as dead as the characters in the game by the end of the story, which is the elephant in the room that I guess we should talk about, because this is possibly the biggest blemish on this otherwise solid foundation.
Hell of an entrance. I'm sure your dad would be proud.
Send me back to save my father, Calypso.
For starters, if you're expecting the traditional Twisted Metal treatment in this story mode, it's pretty jarring when you realize that it's not what you'll be getting here. You get a linear set of 3 story paths that play one after the other, starting with our main boy Sweet Tooth, because I mean, of course, he's Sweet Tooth. Of course, they're going to put his first. He's as grim and disturbing in this entry as ever, which is great.
It was like Christmas morning. Every hallway filled with little gifts.
But what's even more disturbing is when you come across Sweet Tooth as you're playing the Sweet Tooth campaign.
Sweet Tooth destroyed.
What? What the fuck?
This is because when you start off the campaign mission, you can pick from a selection of cars right off of the bat, despite the fact that you're locked into a specific character path. Obviously, running into your main story character's vehicle while you're playing their campaign is pretty jarring, and it doesn't make much sense in context. Not that Twisted Metal ever really made sense in context, but they have a bit of a non-answer for this one. This is where it starts to get a little weird. In the campaign, you're the one being addressed in the intro cinematics.
Stay alive, Sweet Tooth. The one that got away. You're getting so close.
You're the one crashing into Calypso's office at the end of the campaign demanding your wish.
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip.
Your wish is granted.
Oh my god.
But you, as the main character, aren't technically driving the cars really. at all. Yeah, that makes about as much sense as it sounds, right? Your character, aka Sweet Tooth, has henchmen do his dirty work for him.
Boss, this don't look good.
What? Yeah, in Twisted Metal, a competition where the stakes are life and death for the all-powerful prize of any wish you want, you have henchmen allies supporting you.
The loyal gang of Mr. Grimm, a fellow competitor, wants to keep you from your prize.
Yeah, contextually to the story, they're basically saying, yeah, compete in this battle royale, but let somebody else do it for you. This almost seems tacked on, and I wonder if it was the original plan for the campaign when they were drawing it up and conceptualizing it. This is supported by the fact that there's only 3 story campaigns in the game. That's right. You get 3. Sweet Tooth, Mr. Grimm, and Dollface, a character introduced in Twisted Metal Black, a game that I still haven't played, even though that's probably one of the best ones, but that's neither here nor there. Regardless if you're looking at this in retrospect or even from the day it came out, this seems like an extremely odd choice. That means you get no campaign or lore at all from the characters like Crimson Fury, Outlaw, Axel, Roadkill, as well as all the other vehicles included in the Twisted Metal 2012 reboot that are still in the game. There's quite a good selection of cars in this reboot, but that's all they pretty much are. Vehicles. Instead of like previous entries where it was a personality tied to a specific vehicle, it's now just simply an empty vessel, a tool to complete a mission.
You won the game and now you want me to find your old man. Well, tough. All I could dig up was this stupid picture.
Dad? The key to Spectre.
This next one's kind of long, but it's too good not to put in here.
Ralph Jones here, Mr. Tooth, and all I want to say is that, hey, this is some nice place you got here. Really upscale. What do you think, Meg? Nice, huh?
Really nice, Mr. Tooth.
I believe you have won.
I want a clown. I want that one. Kids, don't embarrass Mr. Tooth, who's kind enough to...
Give you one wish, Mrs. Jones. Mr. Troll, Why, I am a clown! Right, Mr. Clown, we love clowns. We the Joneses wish for the top-of-the-line Roadluster 3000 trailer. Granted! With the optional 2 full tanks of propane, sir. Granted! And the 3-month service contract option to pick a summer driver. Granted! And that summer driver we want is Mr. Tooth. Granted for the sake of all that is sane! That's it! It's parked outside! Someone will see you out. Goodbye! 22 bottles of beer on the wall, 22 bottles of beer. Every one of them bottles grabbed with a fall in. 21 bottles of beer on the wall, 21 bottles of beer on the wall, 21 bottles of beer. If one of them bottles went out.
My only assumption as to why they made this choice would be something along the lines of time and budget constraints, because what you do get out of the story is pretty damn good.
It took me years of screaming and clawing and breaking him down. Years of calling out to him, trying to get him to set me free. But he was such a coward. Then one night it happened. One night I called. And he answered. And after I got him to carve me, I killed him.
The cutscenes are these Need for Speed Carbon, Most Wanted style green screen surreal live action. Fuck, that is a fucking mouthful. The cutscenes are these Need for Speed Carbon / Most Wanted style green screen surreal live action cinematics behind CGI environments. That's the second Need for Speed reference in a video for absolutely no reason, baby, yeah! You probably get about like 3 or so of these cinematics throughout the storyline of each character, and the production value in these cinematics are like nothing else I've seen in a Twisted Metal title. They were great.
We will rise up this very night, and we shall tear down your tower of sin!
Also great was the inclusion of new game modes.
Stay inside the cage when it's active, Sweet Tooth.
Throughout the campaign, instead of a battle royale rinse-repeat formula, you now face new challenges that test your skills. One level might be a traditional battle, but the next might be a zone control mission where you have to stay in a certain area until you have to chase down the next one, all while taking out the opponents. These new modes mixed up the gameplay and were honestly really fun. Towards the end of the game, you have this face-off on a multi-tier battleship level. It seems like this level is created just for the story and there isn't anything else like it in the game. What you do get out of the story is very high quality, but there's two elements in the story that will be the absolute bane of your fucking existence in this game. And the first one is the racing levels.
This is Battle Race, Sweet Tooth.
On paper, this seems like a great concept, right? Microvolt style car combat meets Carmageddon racing gameplay seems like a match made in heaven. But that's until you actually play this shit.
Check as health recharge.
The best things about the game are what make it the absolute worst for racing. First off, the cars are obviously not designed to take precise corners and handle like they're on a racetrack. They handle like tanks and drag rockets, which makes sense for the arena style combat, so it's no surprise that when you're asking these vehicles to make accurate turns to hit checkpoints, I go sliding in every direction but where I'm supposed to, like I'm taking a corner on a drift track at 80 miles an hour while I'm completely plastered in my sim rig.
Checkpoint bonus.
The other element is the level design itself. There's one race where you have to hit every checkpoint, including the final one at the end, to detonate all of the opponents before they can reach it. This plays horrible, and the only reason I beat it was luck and repetition. The AI isn't the brightest, so once you do have the layout down, it's not too hard to pass them in time. But the next problem is the wonky driving itself. There's so many obstacles that will clip you or send you flying in the wrong direction. Driving this level was painful and the racing checkpoints felt completely tacked on. On top of that, the actual car combat is really pointless because it's a waste of time. It fills up your screen with clutter so you can't see where you're going. And in all honesty, trying to take out the other opponents just slows you down, so if one actually gets to that last checkpoint before you, you lose the race.
Enemy has reached.
After completing this race, I was mentally exhausted, as well as completely convinced that David was Calypso himself, just doing this for the pure torture of his player base. Oh, you guys want a campaign, huh? Oh, I'll give you a campaign. Have fun racing on a track that feels like a tightrope, along with driving physics that are reminiscent of a broken roller coaster. I don't know what accent that's supposed to be. I'm pretty sure David's just American. Whatever he is, he's an asshole for designing these racing tracks. I don't care if you made my whole childhood, David. You ruined it with this one game.
To his followers, Sweet Tooth was a king. He was a god, and they'll never stop worshiping him. The day he died, they began to build this in his honor. They say one day the clown will return, stronger and madder than before. For now, they roll across the land, searching for a sign of their lord's resurrection.
The other obstacle you'll face if you so choose to play the campaign is the obstacle course in the final level. Like I said, you'll end up on this battleship of sorts that has some really neat ideas until you meet the gates of hell that you're forced to endure to beat the game, aka this really convoluted obstacle course that's harder than the final battle that comes after this. First tip I got for you, don't use Outlaw on this map, or any slower vehicle for that matter. I was stuck on this level for what seemed like an eternity. Until I died on the last peg to progress and accidentally ended it. That's when I decided to switch cars, and god, what a world of difference it makes for this level. This was my experience with using Outlaw.
Be smart, be smart, be smart, be smart, be smart, be smart, dog. Back up. Be smart. There you go. Protect yourself. Oh, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Oh, you using them little tricks that you didn't tell me about now, huh? That's what you want to do now? Get it to the round and go for it. Breathe.
And this was my second run with Crimson Fury.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
Oh my god! Oh!
There was a misinput. Calm down! You calm the fuck down! There was a misinput!
On top of these straight up sadistic obstacles that you have to overcome, they just seem to randomly sling these explosive balls that block your path. Yeah, thanks for these balls, David. I really appreciate it. There's really not much you can do in the way of dodging these things other than destroy it with a rocket. One of my main problems with Outlaw, other than him being slow as dick, was that its special ability was virtually useless against these things. You end up using a helicopter in the finale regardless, so the vehicle you choose for this level is really only important for the obstacle course in my opinion.
visit a garage to swap out your vehicle.
With the game not originally being planned to have single player at all, you may expect the AI to be a bit on the weaker side, and I'd say that's true if you play on the easier difficulty. I played through on normal difficulty, and it wasn't painstakingly hard like I remember the previous entries being, but I wasn't exactly cheesing it either. The AI did have its moments, however, where they would just forget how to drive and plow into a wall just to sit there, or somehow end up under a drawbridge with no attempt to reset themselves. By the way, the soundtrack on this game has a mix of licensed and original music, all of which fucking slaps. So, as you can see, there's quite a bit going on here with the variety in gameplay as well as the production quality of the story mode, albeit a seemingly unfinished story mode in my opinion. Sure, it's campy and downright ridiculous as it's ever been, but it was really entertaining. This preacher character is like a supporting character in the cutscenes throughout the story, but you never actually play as him. When the story is over, you get the ability to use these holy men as henchmen, obviously being a reference to him, which is weird because he never plays a part in the competition at all from your gameplay. This, as well as the teaser and the end of the story, makes me assume that they had bigger plans for this story that just didn't happen.
I'll be strong enough to return the favor.
Of course, when you beat the game, you have the ability to play any game mode on any map you want outside of the Sweet Tooth Battleship level, which is really fun, because you also unlock the Juggernaut, which is just an overpowered behemoth that you come across in the story that has more rand damage than any other weapon you'll use with it. You can even take it into the campaign with you if you choose to do a New Game Plus style run with your unlocks, which is pretty good fun too.
And this is Juggernaut. He won't appear on radar, and he's very hard to kill. It helps to shoot his in.
All in all, I think this is a title worth playing if the series ever interests you at all. It's brimming with love for its roots, with everything from the classic vehicles to the solid gameplay and some of the best visuals to date for the franchise. You can definitely tell this was a project spearheaded by the original designer of Twisted Metal, even though he's a total asshole for those racing segments. The team at Eat Sleep Play seemed very dedicated to the fans of the franchise and wanted to deliver the best Twisted Metal experience possible, and I think for the most part they did succeed with that. I think the biggest detriment to this release was definitely the story mode. What we got was high quality, but it really felt like a shell of its predecessors in that regard, which is unfortunate. It's just a damn shame that it seems like Twisted Metal 2012 will be one of those titles that the majority forgets about. Without it getting the Twisted Metal Black treatment and making an appearance on modern consoles, it's going to be lost to time on its 2012 platform. Sony doesn't seem very ready to make a big investment on the Twisted Metal IP, but I think it could work, man. Take a look at how Modern Warfare did their reboot. Release a solid game with a great campaign, give it solid multiplayer, and maybe make the multiplayer component itself free. It may not have been a philosophy that sold back in 2012, but it definitely is now. Look at all the numerous successful titles that launched with a free-to-play component to great success. The PS5 could use a nostalgic heavy hitter, and I think Twisted Metal could definitely be that game. And you know what? If Sony doesn't want to do it, man, fuck Sony. David, go do it yourself, dude. Kickstart it. I'm ready to see mangled aluminum on the PS5. That's going to be a system seller for me whenever we can get our damn hands on one. Really quick, we're about to close out the video here, but if you gotta have more Twisted Metal content right now after watching this video all the way through, which I couldn't believe you would do, but if you did and you want more, go check out the channels and videos I'm going to show here on the video and in the description, because they definitely deserve it. These videos were a big help to me when I was kind of constructing mine and getting some inspiration, and I definitely think they're worth the watch. So yeah, closing it out now. That being said though, I'll leave you guys with that think piece. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've been sitting on this game for a while and it feels really good to finally be able to talk about it. If you would like to see me cover other Twisted Metal projects, believe me, I got a backlog that I could do. I don't really know how different I could discuss the gameplay than the one I did with this one, but yeah. Be sure to check out some of my other gaming videos if this one interested you. Subscribe to the channel for more Twisted Metal content, and I hope I see you guys in the next one above everything else. It's been T. See ya.
Now, let me show you something. If you're coming... Imagine if somebody's coming...
Okay.
Didn't go high. love that it looks like we've already done 20 takes. Well, haven't you heard? Twisted Metal competition's here, dude. So I'm just souping this baby up with a nice little blaster. Why the fuck does my car need to... Well, let me show you. Grab the hammer out from under the car. Is that a hammer? I really fucked that one up.